Hi, this is Savannah,
And this is Brian from the Dorky Diva Show,
and you're listening to Starboars.
the best place for below average Star Wars.
Welcome to Starboars, the best place for below average Star Wars.
Hello there, and welcome to the Star Wars Show, the best place for below average Star Wars. I'm one of your hosts today, the Geordie Jedi Pete, and I'm joined by two special guest hosts today. First up, Canon Junkie XL Ian.
I'm good,
Ian,
mate.
how are you
Yourself?
doing? Yeah, I'm feeling pretty fantastic. Can't wait to finally talk about The Mandalorian Chapter 16, The Rescue. It's been out for about 20 years now, but we're finally going to review it.
Oh, funny.
And also joining us to help us review Chapter 16 of The Mandalorian is Luke from the Hoth of the Press podcast.
I'm doing very well. Thank you once again for inviting us on your podcast.
No problem. It's funny because, even though they have introduced these both special guest hosts, but really, Ian's essentially is host of the Star Wars show, really, and obviously you're a reoccurring guest star, which is quite cool. It's always good to talk Star Wars, and the more people, the merrier. I think, in my opinion,
definitely.
It has taken us a while to get here for the Mandalorian review. Obviously, it's quite hard for us to meet and make our schedules meet up. Obviously, because we have lives and jobs and stuff. But we're there. We're finally here. I can't wait to talk about it.
Definitely, that's the biggest issue. I think it's just we've got these jobs that are take up most of our time. These jobs that allow us to live, but it also gets in the way of us talking Star Wars, which is a pain. But it's got to be done. But we've probably would have got here sooner. But obviously, there was some big news. Obviously, we had the Disney presentation at the end of last year, where we had to talk about that instead of doing a Mandalorian review and things like that. So, there's been other things to talk about as well as just the Mandalorian. But yeah, we're finally here. We've saved probably, I don't know, in my opinion, I don't know if it's my favourite episode ever, but I have nothing but good feelings about this episode. So I'm going to say we'll probably save the best episode or last to talk about.
Yeah, definitely, mate.
Maybe.
Absolutely. This episode still, to this day, I can't believe this is actually a real thing, to be fair.
It is. It's absolutely full of crazy moments, which we'll get into. I think obviously, the show sort of, this episode does play a bit on, the whole show plays a little bit on nostalgia, but it's also very well placed, well written nostalgia. And I think this episode is that to an even better standard, which we'll dive into when we get in there. But obviously, this was Chapter 16, The Rescue, which is the 8th and final episode of the second season of The Mandalorian. It was written by Jon Favreau and directed by Peyton Reed. Peyton Reed, who obviously directed Ant-Man. He also directed... Which episode of the season did he direct? Was it episode 2?
Episode 2, yes. I can't remember what it was called now. What was Chapter 2 called? Chapter 10. The Passenger? No. Yeah.
Yes, it was The Passenger. That's when he picks up, because he sees Dr. Mandible, and Dr. Mandible tells him about Frog Lady, yep. And Peyton Reed also directed sort of the 2000 cult phenomenon, Bring It On.
Full disclosure.
I watched that when I was 12, 13.
I like that film. I do. My lass makes me watch it all the time. I like it.
Ian makes his last watch.
It has quite a good. Like I said, I remember that coming out, and it went over my head a little bit. But I remember my friends being people my age at the time when that came out, were sort of watch it at cinemas and got it on DVD, but watch it all the time type of thing. So yeah, a big movie there. He also directed The Breakup and Yes Man. And he obviously did Ant-Man.
Yes Man's great. I love it.
I've never seen Yes Man, to be fair. I've never seen it.
It's on Netflix. It's really good. And The Breakup is a good movie as well.
I take it he's directing Ant-Man 3 as well.
I can find out.
I'm pretty
Give me
sure he
one
will
second.
do, but
On
yeah.
Google.
They're having Kang the Conqueror in it, yeah.
Yeah, he is. He's down for Ant-Man and the Wasp, and it's called Quantum
Yeah.
Mania. Yeah, scheduled for 2022 release. So we'll see whether he ends up. So any drama happens and he leaves the project, but I don't see why he would, considering he did the first two.
You never know these days, do you?
So this episode was released on Disney Plus on December 18th. So as you know, we're a little bit behind in reviewing it, but if anything, let's give one more chance to sort of get used to watch it more and have more insight. The episode was 44 minutes long, so still, short really for a TV episode, but longer than some of the other episodes we've had this season. Just a quick run through of the sort of plot. The Mandalorian and Cara Dune board an Imperial shuttle and capture Dr. Pershing. Then the Mandalorian and Boba Fett visit Bo-Katan and Cosca Reeves at the cantina. And after that quarrel between Fett and Reeves about the purity of the owner's Mandalorian lineage, they agree to help rescue Grogu in exchange for Bo-Katan getting the Darksaber from Gideon. Dr. Pershing warns the cruiser is defended by Dark Trooper droids. They use the Imperial shuttle to get close as Fett pretends to attack them in Slave One, and they crash land in the TIE fighter launch tube. Bo-Katan, Cosca Reeves, and Fennec Shand and Cara Dune, they sort of leave the ship first and sort of kill the Imperials on the way to the bridge. Meanwhile, the Mandalorian sneaks out last to get to the brig so he can get to Grogu. On his way, he finds the Dark Troopers and he attempts to seal them off, but he gets there a bit too late. One manages to get out, so what he does is he fights off the first Dark Trooper, gets out. It's quite a very cool, intense physical battle. Once he wins that, he ejects the rest of the Dark Troopers into space. He enters the cell and Moff Gideon is standing by Grogu, and he's got the Darksaber ignited. Gideon has to let the Mandalorian take Grogu if he leaves the ship immediately. But Gideon strikes the Mandalorian when his back is turned. Those guys are having a fight. The Mandalorian and Gideon are having a fight, which the Mandalorian eventually wins. Mandalorian sort of takes Gideon back to the bridge, where sort of a bit of discussion around the Darksaber's legacy and what's actually happened. Obviously, Gideon sort of plays on the fact and plays them off against each other. That the fact that because Mandalorian beat Gideon, he's now like the owner of the Darksaber, and it's the story, not the saber, that grants the wielder the power to rule Mandalore. But before they can go any further with that, the Dark Troopers fly back into the ship. Although they were ejected into space, they weren't actually destroyed. So they land back in the cruiser and they head towards the bridge, and they're trying to break into the bridge. As that happens, a single X-Wing lands, the pilot of which is Jedi Knight, who engages and destroys all the Dark Troopers. Gideon sees an opportunity to kill Grogu, which the Mandalorian dies in front of, and he takes the blast instead. Then instead of dropping his weapon, Gideon tries to shoot himself, but he's disarmed by Cara Dune. The Mandalorian opens the doors. The Jedi, who reveals himself to be Luke Skywalker, comes in. Grogu hesitates to leave with Luke, but the Mandalorian gives him permission to go with the Jedi to complete his training. And then an emotional farewell to Grogu, the Mandalorian removes his helmet and tearfully looks on as Luke, accompanied by R2-D2, departs with Grogu. And at the end, very end, after the credits, on Tatooine at Jabba's palace, Fennec kills several guards, then Fett kills Bib Fortuna and takes the throne. So let's just start with like the very beginning of the episode. Like obviously we see sort of the Imperial shuttle, the Lambda class shuttle, is being pursued by Slave One, which I thought was fantastic. Straight into the action, straight seeing Slave One in action. Obviously Slave One disables them, and then he boards them, and then they board them because they want to take Persian prisoner. You have those two Imperial pilots who one's a bit of a prick.
Yeah.
What were your guys' thoughts on this on the opening of the episode? If you want to
I
go
loved
first,
it. It was
Iain.
really cool to see another Lambda shuttle. I can't remember the last time we saw one of those in live action. To be fair, it must be Return of the Jedi. If I'm I'm thinking straight. That was really cool. Obviously, seeing Slave 1 chasing it down was awesome. The ion cannon. This is a very Star Wars opening for me. The only thing that makes me wonder, I wonder how Slave 1 docked with the shuttle. It's the only thing that made me wonder. But
it's very. I wonder if it has
like
a
a
sleeve
tube
that comes out.
Yeah.
You mean airtight sleeve?
Yeah.
Like that type of thing maybe, but out of sight, out of mind, as they say. What were your thoughts on the opening?
I really enjoyed it. I liked we get a mention of the Death Star, like how many troops were killed, and when you get that, like again, Star Wars is a good way of bringing in like a certain point of view, and then seeing the pilot. I get really annoyed when the guy kills the other guy. Like you've probably trained with this other person. Like he's that indoctrinated in the Imperial. It doesn't matter that the other pilot is his friend or whatever. He just shoots him because he's so loyal to this like remnant. It's not even an empire; it's just a remnant. It probably annoys us, like when you say he's a prick. But I do like that scene. There's a lot. It's a very clever scene and kind of tying the universe together. I've mentioned the Death Star. I've mentioned Alderaan.
Yeah.
The pilot killing the pilot. Which for me brings in the when Finn fights that Stormtrooper in episode 7. It was in the comics where you found out that Stormtrooper he fights with someone he trained with. So it's the same kind of idea, like you have your friends with the Empire, but the loyalty is where things come into question in terms of where your actual loyalties lie.
I think like obviously there's some people who are part of the Imperial who are just there for a day job, but then when it gets to this point, they probably would just surrender. Like the pilot on the left who does that, but this guy's obviously like he is an evil man. He picks on cartoons straight away, makes fun of Alderaan being blown up, and he starts that, and then when she fires back because she's got she's got some balls. I mean, she's like, oh well, guess what? No, he takes that to heart almost. Like he's very much like don't call me names, but it's like, well, you started it, mate. Like don't give if you can't take. One of them, and he gets shot in the face, which is good. Can't see him go down. It was cool. It was cool to set that mood up with like he recognised her Alderanian tear under her eye. And then obviously when as soon as she put a Death Star up, he got offended.
She shoots Persian. She shoots a bit of Persian's ear off as well.
He's very cool. The guy has Persian, obviously, like right in front of him, doesn't he? So it was all very, very snug.
His ear gets blown off.
Very, very snug hair.
And again, he's all talk, but he's using the Doctor as a cover. Like he's not. Do you know what I mean?
100%. Yep, definitely. I really enjoyed seeing the Lambda in action. I really enjoyed seeing Slave 1 in action. I thought it was a really good way to start the episode, like straight in the thick of it. I also love the next bit where we see the Lambda shuttle parked next to Slave 1 and next to a Mandalorian ship. I can't remember what they're called. What they're called again? Yeah. That's the one. Yep, Mandalorian Gauntlets. Do we know what planet they're parked on? Is it Concord Dawn?
No, I don't think it's Concord Dawn. I think it's just a generic planet like. But obviously, we've got the visual dictionary coming out in July, June. Hopefully, we might get some answers with that. What planet they were on.
Another thought I had is that, do you know how you sort of see some of the planet before it goes to the cantina? Some of those structures that you see remind me of the structures from the final season of Clone Wars on the planet. I can't remember what it's called now, but the planet where the the planet where the what they're called, not the Banking planet, the Techno Union bosses hiding on.
What's it called? It's gonna bug me now.
I love that episode where Anakin kills the guy.
Can't remember.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
Dark side, don't you?
Can't remember. I can't remember what the planet's called, but yeah, I know what you mean.
So it reminded me of like those structures there, but who knows? Hopefully, when we get the visual dictionary, we will find out. When's that coming out?
June or July, I think. Off the top of my head.
I love making my way through these things.
It says here the Concord Dawn was mentioned in a hologram in the tragedy. It was chapter 14.
Yeah, Concord Dawn would have been Concord Dawn's like a big part of Mandalorian culture, which is why I thought maybe this is where they were. But Who knows? We'll find
Scaffold
out
Miner,
come June or
that's
July.
Yeah.
That's the one, yeah. So the structures, as it before plans to the ships, reminded me of like the structures, the Techno Union structures on Scaffold Miner.
It looked, you know what it reminded
again,
me of?
could
This
just
is the
be
real
similar.
word. It looked like the plant at Middlesbrough for some reason in my head. I don't know why. It did.
When
I
you go
thought
to the
Middlesbrough straight
A19,
away.
there's just a sea of the stacks.
Yeah.
Which one?
I was literally
is that the
thought,
power
I said,
plants at Borough?
Yeah.
Are they Middlesbrough? I was like, nah, they're not that desperate. No, never mind. I kid. I only joke.
But no, it's I love the way we've got to see Slave One and Lambda class shuttle and the
I
and
hope
the
we see more of
Mandalorian
them
gauntlet
in
there.
season 3, the Mandalorian gauntlet. That'd be sick.
Class.
I would imagine we will. We then go into the cantina where we see Mando and Boba, as I said, are talking to Bo-Katan and Cosca Reeves. One of the things I found very intriguing was that the third member of Bo-Katan's crew is not here.
Axis
Aye.
gloves.
Well, he's contract up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, his contract wouldn't be up. He would have signed a season deal. So I think that's on purpose. That
Yeah.
he's doing something.
Oh, he's dead.
Um,
You know.
yeah. So I would imagine that, like, I don't know, because I imagine season 3 of Mandalorian is going to be about like taking back Mandalore. So if he's out like doing reconnaissance or getting some information or taking another ship somewhere, because got to remember these two. So Bo-Katan's here with Cosca Reeves, right? With the Mandalorian gauntlet, but like she's got other ships, hasn't she? Elsewhere, she's sort of insinuated that they're taking things from other people, particularly Imperials. So that's just like gathering sort of a type of armada, type of fleet to sort of go and take that man. So maybe he's with the rest of the equipment, the rest of the spaceship.
The Gazanti cruiser in chapter 13, I think. I'm not sure, but yeah, they obviously take the Gazanti cruiser. Yeah,
and that's not there. So obviously he's probably commanding that.
I love that cruiser in the first Bo-Katan episode. It's so great.
But yeah,
do you see he's that in Squadron? That's in the game Squadron. If anyone plays that,
I played a bit of it. Yeah, it's in the Phantom Menace as well.
Is it?
Yeah, when Qui-Gon, Padme, Jar Jar are walking into Mos Esper, you can see one fly behind them.
No way.
You can, mate. You're gonna watch Phantom Menace later now, aren't you? And see if you can see it.
Hunt for the scene. That's mad.
I'll send you. I think I've got a picture of it on my phone. I'll send you it there. But anyway, yeah, it is a cool ship. I hope we see that again. Obviously in season 3, which Pete's probably nailed on. Yeah, I think we're starting to lead towards a live action Siege of Mandalore, but we can get into that later.
I like how they're very quick to judge Fett because he's a clone.
No, he makes that.
He doesn't really care.
One of my favourite scenes of the whole season. Just them talking smack to one another. It was great.
Yeah.
I love the line where she goes, "You're a clone. I've heard your voice thousands of times," and he says, "Mine might be the last one you hear." I love that line.
Yeah, definitely. And I love the little bar fight.
She's great as well. Like, obviously, a lot of people, she's never really acted before. Obviously, I know from WWE, so UP. I don't know, Luke, if you're familiar with.
Not really.
Yeah, she's a big time
WWE
women's champion. And but no, I think she's been phenomenal this season.
Yeah, she's been fantastic. I think she's even spoke about how when she was on set for the first episode she did, just how much Bryce Dallas Howard was there for her and like made time to like talk her through things and make her feel comfortable. But yeah, I think she obviously does a fantastic job on WWE television. And she's done like a fantastic job with this role. Definitely excited to see what they're
doing a Black Series
in season 3.
So
yeah, definitely Black Series. They're doing a lot of Black Series figures coming out, a lot of different designs. It's just cool. I'm glad to see them branching out rather than just. I mean, they still are in packaging old ones, but but they are doing new ones as well, which is good. You know, it's better than the alternative. What did you make of? Obviously, Bo-Katan's like, you know, that Foster can come and help, and then as soon as he mentions, as soon as Mando mentions Bo-Katan, out of nowhere, Moff Gideon is. That's when
Yeah, it's
she's
very
interested
much
straight away.
like, obviously, I'm not going to help you. And then as soon as she's like, oh, you can help me. Okay, I'll help you then. It sets up definitely something's happened with her. We'll get into this later, obviously, with the Darksaber thing. But obviously, something's happened. And obviously, we know there's a great purge in Mandalore. We know that. But obviously, something's happened. Because the last time we see her before this, she's leading the Mandalorians. She's got the Darksaber. And obviously, something's happened to her.
Well, I think that is what happens.
Yeah,
The
but I
purge
think
of
there's
Mandalore
something
is
deeper
what
there.
happens.
I think there's something. Obviously, there's a reason why he's got the Darksaber. I can't really believe that he's taken it off her.
Wait, all he's got to do is overrun them, and then if they surrender and drop the weapons, then he's got it.
Well, to be fair, the last person who actually held the Darksaber really is Maul. No one's actually taken it.
Which is one of the best fights in the whole of anything Star Wars. That is like, it starts off like this duel and then it becomes a slugfest. I love it.
With Pre Vizsla.
Oh, it's amazing, man.
But yeah, like I said, he's the last person who's actually won it. Like, so I know.
I mean, do they have to be wielding it to win it though? Because it's I find it very weird. Like I think that like when it suits them to buy into this folklore, and then when it doesn't, they don't. Like let's just get into that. Like, well, we'll get to it later. Actually, remind us on. I don't want to get off topic. So obviously, Bo-Katan gets on board with the plan, and then we see sort of Boba Fett's chasing the shuttle. They come out of hyperspace and they pretend to be an Imperial transport needing help. Because Fett's shooting them down. Obviously, Fett says he's very careful shooting. He says it does something look real. But don't worry, I'll not shoot you. I love how even though they're under attack, like Gideon's obviously very careful. They're obviously a remnant now. They're not Legion, and it's like, no, you can't dock. The TIEs will come out to help you.
Yeah.
But like you cannot dock.
There's definitely something up here because obviously in one of the earlier episodes they mentioned a fleet, and this is a theory I've got longer. I'll get into it later when we obviously discuss this post Mandalorian thing. But obviously he's off on his own, but there is a fleet out there somewhere, and I think I know what fleet it is with what it's leading to. But obviously we'll get into that later. But it's very much a patched together type thing because he's completely on his own on this cruiser, Gideon. And I think he's obviously working for someone. But yeah, it's obviously they don't have. It's a lot easier to get at these people now. They did the exact same thing. There's the exact same sequence in Star Wars Rebels, where they chased a TIE bomber into one of the I can't remember what they're called, the fighter carriers. What are they called? I can't remember what they're called, but yeah, they've done the exact same thing in Rebels. It was obviously a lot more difficult then because that's when the Empire's at full power. But yeah, I think it's just interesting that we've heard this fleet mentioned, but we haven't seen this fleet yet.
Makes you think. I mean, I get the impression Moff Gideon's like little scientific experiments probably on by the wider fleet.
I don't tend to agree with that because obviously, if it's leading to what I think is leading to, I think the person who works for, I'll just say it, Grand Admiral Thrawn, is he's done like if you go back to his Legends days, he's very much into cloning, very much into all that kind of stuff. So I could see him being off on his own, doing this, but at the behest of Grand Admiral Thrawn. Because I think that's where we're going. That's where we're leading to. We're leading to Thrawn.
So do you think the cloning is leading to Thrawn and not necessarily Palpatine? Because he says the body doctor in that episode with.
So Thrawn's doing that on behalf. I think Thrawn's obviously following instructions. So like this is maybe how they're doing the research on behalf of Palpatine's Palpatine can't do anything.
There's the Empire. One of the books. What was it called? Vision of the Future. Thrawn has a clone, so it could be. It doesn't have to be Palpatine. I think obviously everything because we know he's out there.
Yeah.
It's something. It all leads back to Palpatine at this point. But I definitely think Thrawn. He obviously uses clone soldiers in the Heir to the Empire trilogy. I just think, I think that's where. Obviously, we'll get into it later, but I think he could be working at the behest of Grand Admiral Thrawn, because Giancarlo Esposito did say in an interview, he says, obviously Gideon seems to know an awful lot about everyone, and obviously it seems he must have like someone obviously feeding him that information. I think he was hinting, but I think it's obviously leading to Grand Admiral Thrawn.
What did you make of the assault on the cruiser and the assault on this fake?
That was great.
Attack?
I love seeing the different ships and seeing the TIE fighters come out the tube reminded of squadrons. Just a cool little scene, like just the amount of little action scene in this one episode. Like for me, just as a general thing for this episode, it's not all the other episodes like pay homage to different film styles, where this episode just feels like it was Star Wars. Like Ahsoka's episode is like samurai, and then you got the horror episode with the ice spiders. Like this is not really honoring a particular genre of movie. It's honoring, I think, Star Wars. It's just
I get what you mean. Obviously, the Cobb Vanth introduction is very Western type thing. I think this is just like obviously all built to this, and it's just a really cool like Star Wars. Obviously, Star Wars borrows from everything, but it's a very cool Star Wars, just like outright Star Wars episode.
Well, George's game films as well, obviously samurai movies and Western movies.
Yeah.
So that's where that comes from. But so like I love the attack on the like the fake attack. I love Fett chasing them. How he's just shooting them enough to make it look real. I like how the Gazanti cruiser is a bit like you will wait, you can't dock. Because obviously they would dock at a normal docking bay. And then that's what forces them to crash land into the tube, which is very dangerous areas because, like, obviously the cruiser hasn't allowed them to dock, so they cannot go in the normal docking bay. So they've had to crash land through the tube, which leads to a really cool visual shot. And I love how as Fett wheels back around, he takes out two tires before he jumps into light speed.
I thinking, Boba's gone. I wonder why. Obviously, it makes sense later, but the fact that he calls Bo-Katan Princess is pretty funny. That's a pretty good one.
Yeah, he's definitely there's definitely some sort of really good banter between him and the Mandos throughout this episode. And I think again it stems from like them being a little bit weird with him because of who he is, but because he doesn't really care. He's like,
he's just said it straight, doesn't he? He's like,
I'll just call you right back because
you were not a Mandalorian. He's like, I never said I was.
Yeah.
Obviously, Django. His dad's got history with the Mandalorians. But obviously, he's never been a Mandalorian. I don't think he wants to be a Mandalorian. But the banter between them two was pretty funny.
Yeah, definitely. I think like we'll generally about what happens to Boba Fett about like what he goes on to do. But I think like if he wanted, he could join. If he really was to care about Mandalore, he would sort of stay with the guys and go to fight to bring it back, but he obviously chooses to do something else, which is what we see at the end of the episode. Once they crash land, what did you make of the whole like sort of gunfighting inside? Obviously, we've got majority of the crew go off in one direction and they're shooting a lot of troops as they go, which looks pretty cool. And obviously, Mando sneaks out the back.
I really enjoyed it. It was really awesome to see, and it was awesome to get all these female characters, and I didn't even notice they were all female. That's how good the scene is. You know, there's certain things today where people say some things are forced and that, but that totally wasn't forced.
Yeah,
it was just four four badass characters knocking the crap out of stormtroopers. Yeah, but it didn't feel forced at all. I'd never even picked up onto it until people were like, "Oh yeah," I was like, "Oh yeah, totally." But no, it was an awesome moment.
One of my favorite bits is when they are on the bridge, where they're crossing the bridge and under like the walkway, and it's like underneath space, and then troopers are coming, so the two Mandalorians jetpack off, so you can't see them, and then when the other two get surrounded, the Mandals fly back up with the jetpacks and take out the troops. I thought that was like a fantastic sort of use of where they were,
as a
really awesome set piece. I think it's like it goes show like even these Mandalorians have jetpacks and we show them the jetpacks. It's like how do we utilize that? And it's like we'll show you here because you would have thought like they're on board a spaceship in tight spaces, probably not going to get to use it much. But then right here we've designed a scene where we're going to show them in action. Which is fantastic.
Has to be said, like Ming Na's like 57, so like she can do probably more martial arts than that can do. And she dodges a laser, which is something I noticed in the rewatch for this. I didn't notice the first time, but she dodges a laser. And I think you're right, Ian, about the scene, how the scene is so good, you do forget, or it's not really relevant that they're all females. It's just it's 4 characters just doing their thing. Everyone has their strengths, and it plays a part in how the action unfolds.
Yeah, I was just saying that basically because obviously you had the Avengers moment in Endgame where a lot of idiots were like, "Oh, obviously they're just trying to force it," and that I didn't see that in the film.
God forbid characters have their moment.
Yeah, I don't really care if it's man, woman, or anything.
Yeah,
but yeah, I just thought the fact that I didn't even pick up on it, I was like, "Oh yeah," I thought it was just a nice touch.
I love Fennec Shannon how she's like taking out troopers from far away, and then
really
also
good.
like taking them out from short range with that big rifle.
I love Ming Na.
And you get to see how accurate she is, which I thought was really cool.
Yes.
Obviously, you're going to see more of that in the Bad Batch.
Those carrier ships are called Quasars. I got to Google.
They are called Quasars, yes.
Yes, sorry.
Yes, they are.
My brain was bleeding when I was waiting for the right time to tell it.
The new Alphabet Squadron book's out next month, and I was thinking they've mentioned that about 400 times. So
nice.
Yeah.
We then see Mando. He ends up going. What did you make of the Dark Troopers and them coming out?
Yeah.
One escaping and fighting Mando.
Definitely raised the stakes. Obviously, if they had that much of a fight with one, obviously they're gonna have a massive problem with the whole platoon. And it was nice to get. Obviously, at this point, Stormtroopers are just cannon fodder now. They really are. And it's nice to get an Imperial. Obviously, they're droids and that. But it's nice to get an Imperial droid that is terrifying. Like obviously later on in the episode, if such and such doesn't turn up, they are screwed. Like royally screwed.
I like it because it's like a horror. It's like it's the threat of them. Obviously they look similar to the Death Troopers in Rogue One. And does any of you know what the noises they are making in that movie? Just to sidetrack very quickly, because it doesn't sound like a humour. It just sounds like different language.
I think I've read the Rogue One. Yeah, they are talking normal, and obviously
it's like cool, isn't it? They're talking different.
You do hear them talk, but I think it's just scrambled.
Is it?
So obviously, the enemy
scrambled
can't decipher what they're saying, and plus it freaks people out because it sounds weird.
It's for the scene with the Dark Troopers. The airlock scene reminded us of Alien, although I said it's not. It's like just kind of. For me, it was like reminiscent of that, and then the fire inside of seeing that was like Terminator. Just the visual, like how it looked visually, really interesting.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
Do you know what the fire reminded me of? Revenge of the Sith when Kenobi shoots
he does.
Grievous loads in the chest, and it's almost as if maybe they've learned the lesson of like. Oh, well, like he was exposed so he could die. And this one, like, he sets it on fire and like it just extinguishes itself.
Grievous was like Vader version 1. So, like, to have this evolution of technology would be a natural fit of it.
Well, they definitely have, because in the canon, they've come out and said that Grievous was obviously the prototype of Vader. So yeah, they're definitely, obviously, still messing around with cybernetics and all that type of stuff.
And then I'm pretty sure on set that the Dark Troopers were people in suits.
Yeah.
And then they've like used CGI to sort of on the joints and stuff to make them like fully robotic, which is why because they do look very physical. I think that's probably lends it because of that reason being a practical effect. What did you make of the Mandalorian's fight with one? Obviously, he ends up getting punched all over. I love the scene when he's like putting them when the Dark Trooper's punching him in the helmet, and it's like it's punching him into the side of the ship, but the helmet's not, because the helmet's Beskar, that's not moving either.
I bet he's got.
But I bet it's ringing inside that helmet.
Yeah, his head bounced around.
It was really good. It was like the threat. It wasn't so much the threat of it because the armor. It's just the relentless nature of it. It's like they've only got one goal in mind, and because his armor's not getting dented, but the thing won't give up. It's like an immovable object. And I need to point out, people don't like it, but I really love what I call the dark trooper dubstep. I love the music for the troopers.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, yeah. The theme is very dubsteppy, isn't it?
It's like menacing but fun. It's quite good.
I never picked up on that. I just
Yeah.
enjoy it. I thought the music this
Definitely,
episode fit perfectly with what was going on. So like while that's happened, then you've got obviously on the bridge they've shot everyone on the bridge. And obviously Moff Gideon's not there because he's one step ahead all the time. When Mando finally gets in the cell, obviously like Moff Gideon obviously lets him know that, oh yeah, I'm one step ahead. I know you're here with Bo-Katan. Tells him the truth about the Darksaber and stuff like that. That's why she's here. But also he's very much like, well, I'm just going to give it anyway. Like, I'm not bothered about it. Tries to strike a deal to get the child and go. Moff Gideon sort of agrees, but he's lying and attacks him from behind, which again just adds to Moff Gideon's evilness. Obviously, attacking someone from behind when you've seemingly struck a deal with him for that not to happen, he then double crosses him as soon as his back's turned.
I thought he was.
What did you guys make of Moff Gideon?
Yeah, I thought
in
he
this?
was obviously a really compelling victim. He had me convinced at one point that he was gonna strike the deal, but then obviously it quickly turns into, nah, he's just trying to get him trying to lower his guard down. I think it still shows how naive Din is.
Yeah.
To believe him, but no, he's one of the really good new Star Wars villains I really enjoy. Hopefully, we'll see more of him in the future.
Well, I would imagine now he'll be going into
I would have thought
New
so,
Republic prison camp.
Is he with them on the bridge at the end? Isn't he?
Yes.
Do you think that Mandalore to answer for his crimes against Mandalore, if that's what happened?
Not even that, but he's got information on. We'll get to him and get rid in the episode. But like, I imagine that like if he got information on what the Imperial is doing now, that's vital information.
He'll do all kinds of stuff.
So he'll be a very high priority prisoner for those guys. What do you guys make of obviously him bringing Gideon back to the guys in the discussion there and sort of Bo-Katan's face after she
I will say
though,
what
Gideon's saying.
Before that, though, what I liked about Gideon was that he's fighting with just anger and rage. There's no finesse. It's just he just hates. Like he hates the idea of losing. He hates the idea of this, like this, the Grogu, and he just the Mandalorian. He just doesn't understand why he cares for it. Like he's just his ball of anger. And there's a shot where he goes through the doorway, and the way the shot's framed looks like the same. It looks like a part of the fight with Anakin and Obi-Wan. The door's the same shape, just because it's the aesthetic. But it just reminds us of that when they go through the doorway, because there's the same shot. And Anakin and Obi-Wan going through the doorway. I always like that. Like, it might not be a parallel, but it just reminds me of that. But I do like the fight. Like I really love the fight. How it's quite short. Like, there's a shot of Anakin fighting through the doorway. It's a similar shape to when Gideon pushes Din out the door, and it's like just the shots from the back of Gideon, and just the way they're moving is reminiscent of that.
Yeah. I like how, like, essentially, he's set up to lose here because you can't beat him because he's not a good fighter. And like,
it's definitely engineered.
Like you want to hate who he has going to cost you.
For him to, for better lack of word, be a bit of a stirrer later. Obviously, he stirs the pot between Din and Bo when he gets back to the bridge. I love that scene because you can just tell he's like, "Yes, I've got it. I've got it."
Yeah.
Like she has to. Because obviously something's happened. So obviously we see her in Rebels. Obviously Sabine gives her the Darksaber, and then there must be something there must be some reason why she won't take it this time.
Yeah, so they get the bridge,
Yeah.
and Moff Gideon's like, she can't take the Darksaber. She'll have to kill you for it. And he's like, you just take it. And he's like, no, it's the story that matters. And she's like, yes, he's right. And the mate is a bit like, I don't know. I imagine it will get explained, because if you remember at the start of season 1, it was like, he won't take his helmet off, but the Mandos take the helmets off.
They brought
and then
the
it was
canon
explained like
to life,
recently in season 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I imagine like this will get addressed in the future, and it'll be something
Filoni's
like
not
really
going to
simple
forget
as well.
that.
That makes sense, I would imagine.
She already took the Darksaber from Sabine.
Yeah. Do you think the officer in this is Sabine? The one who
No.
keeps killing Gideon?
No, I don't buy into that theory.
You know.
No, I've never really bought into that theory, to be fair. She's a good character. Like, I do like the officer. She seems quite evil, but no, I don't think it's Sabine. No, I'm guessing so. Yeah.
But run off with
But
Ahsoka,
she's not
didn't she?
dead now.
Who?
In the Rebels, Sabine? Did you go with Ahsoka when Ahsoka looked like Gandalf? All right, sorry.
Yeah.
All right.
Not Sabine. I mean that officer who people think is Sabine is
For
killed
that
in this
say
episode.
no.
So
I like Bo looking at Gideon, like thinking, shit.
Yeah, he's got me. Yeah.
The only plan,
Yeah.
And then it goes back to the bar scene, like you say, something happened with Mandalore, and Bo has a line in the bar where she says, "Oh, if you had this much fight against the Imps, you wouldn't have lost Mandalore." So I think Bo-Katan is just bitter with the way things have ended up, and if she sees Mandalorians fighting in a way where they could have had that spirit when it counted, like I think there's an ongoing bitterness towards kind of how things turned out, whatever happened.
well, I think when she says that to Koska, it's more of just like a dig at her, like what you're doing, like don't you just chill out, like type of thing. But like I think obviously they are very upset about what happened there. It was a mass genocide by the sounds of it. That's
no, like when, like was it right
on
as the
Mandalore?
Empire
That's
took
why
over,
people can't go
or
back.
was it like towards New Hope?
No, and also that it's after. I think it's like after, like I think it's like original trilogy, maybe after Return of the Jedi, around that point. So maybe between between 4 and the end of 6, I'd imagine.
Which is obviously a couple of years before A New Hope. Because we don't see any Mandalorians, obviously, in the Galactic Civil War.
Yeah.
So I think it's I think the Mandalorian episodes of Rebels, I think it's just after that, to be fair. You see the President, obviously, in Rebels, they retake Lothal, and they just think that the Empire is going to come and take it back. But obviously, they never do, because they're probably not worried about Lothal as a planet. But obviously, they're not going to let the Mandalorians join the rebellion, because that'd be a massive problem for the Empire. So I'm guessing it's just after that Rebels episode. I would have thought.
It says 2 years before the Battle of Yavin, they gave up trying to control Mandalore, and then called in. This is on Star Wars.fandom, and then it says that decided it's a great purge, and it says Moff Gideon participated and managed to acquire the Darksaber for Kryze.
Yeah, so there you go then. So I don't think they'd have the manpower to take Mandalore after Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. So somewhere between, anyway, around that time frame, so like between Rebels and the end of the trilogy, obviously Mando's had this being sort of mass genocided and ruined. I find it weird how like she's quick to call Mando for like, oh look at this crazy guy because he won't take his helmet off. But then like she believes in crazy stories about you've got to someone to pick up a sword.
So you say that when it suits them.
Yeah. Obviously Bill Burr broke it down the best.
Yeah.
In the previous episode, he's like when he's on about the helmet. I just think Mandalorian's picking twos, to be fair.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. I think it will be explained about like why she could accept it from Sabine, but why she can't accept it from Din. I think we'll find that going on. Obviously, we don't get much time to figure it out because, like I said, the Dark Troopers are sort of there, coming to attack them. Obviously, they've re-landed on the ship. What were your guys' thoughts
I
when
thought
like
they were
the
in
troopers are
serious
marching
trouble.
towards them?
Yeah. It's great. It's like a slow march. It's like anticipation. It's like this. It's a different franchise, but it's always comes into my head. It's when Galadriel says, "Oh, footsteps of doom," and it's just that idea, just the endless, the unstoppable kind of. They're just coming towards us. Nothing we can do. Like it is going to happen. It's just a matter of when. So this like separate units acting as one, if you like, big machine. Because it's one of them. It's just a clever way. Like you go at the airlock and you forget, and then it's like incoming signals, and it's no life forms, and you realize like, God, crap! Like, things better get real. Mm.
Yeah, I like how they sort of the front two are punching the door. It shows you just how powerful they are as machines. I think they are made out of Beskar, perhaps. Well, I don't think it's been proven yet, but I think they possibly are made out of Beskar. Because this Imperium seems to have a lot of it, which is why they managed to give Din a lot of it as payment. I sort of what I really loved was I love when the X-wing, like the alarm goes off. It's like, oh, X-wing, and then cars like, oh, like one X-wing, and then sort of make fun of the fact that it's not going to help.
As soon as they said,
at what point did you realise it
one
was Luke
X-wing,
Skywalker?
I
Was it when the X-wing
like,
came out in hyperspace?
Part of me thought they're not doing this because obviously I never thought it'd happen. But as soon as she said, "Oh, great, one X-wing," I'm like, well, it can only be one person.
Yeah, I was a bit like I was like, oh my god, they're gonna do it, they're gonna do it, they're gonna do it type of thing. And then it was like then when you see him in the cloak, I was like, oh my god, they actually are gonna do it, they actually are gonna do it. So I was sort of believing it, but then wasn't believing it almost, and then my own hype. And then when he turns the green, I was like, oh my god, they're doing it, they're doing it, they're doing it. Like, I was watching it with my fiance, and she was like, what are you on about? I was like, look, they're gonna do it. And then and then like I said, it was just insane. But yeah, I loved how
seeing the Jedi
what did you make of Luke versus the Dark Troopers.
Jedi's fury. It's just he's so in tune with the Force. It's so in the episode 4 when he. That's what I think.
I wouldn't even say he's being fury. He's very controlled. It's very calm.
Fury's the wrong word, but it's like just a focus in a Jedi's focus. So in episode 4, when he's doing the remote training and he does the 3 moves and it's like succinct and like it's precise. It's like that, but on a much bigger scale. He's so well trained in himself. And with his code of like when he didn't kill his father, like he's not killing a person, so it's still in keeping with that. He's not harming anybody, but he's still using using the Force for knowledge and defense. And I like the fact it's minimal special effects, like you say. It's the Dark Troopers were guys in suits and then enhanced with CGI, and it could have been a scene from Return of the Jedi, obviously, with those effects from that time. It's in keeping with the look of Star Wars from Return of the Jedi. I like that his suit looked the same. It wasn't kind of too over elaborate. It felt like the same. It just belonged in the universe, which is why I like this show so much. And when you go back to the old trilogy in Disney, they've remastered it to the point where, like, aesthetically, it looks like it fits. That you could watch it and it looks like the same thing. I love it. I love this scene. It's great. It's not my favorite scene in the series, but I do love it. Yeah.
For me, the scene reminds us a lot of the Rogue One scene with Darth Vader.
It's definitely my favourite scene as well in the series.
What did he make of? So I loved seeing Luke like using the Force and like slicing people. Like, it's a very calm, sort of precise movements. Which again reminded me of like Last Jedi and when Luke fights Kylo Ren. How he's able to move when he fights Kylo. Even though he's not actually physically there, but the way his body's moving to like avoid things. Again, it was like sort of that same sort of sense of control. Yeah, I thought it was fantastic. It was great to see Luke Skywalker. I think it made perfect sense. Like, who else would it be? There's only one Jedi around at this time. as we know about, and it is Luke Skywalker. Who did you think it might be? Like,
There was talk of being
before
Cal
you knew it was
Kestis,
Luke,
and then
do you
again,
have hopes it would be anyone
that's
else?
like-
Or
I don't know. I think it does make people have said, "Oh, just fan service." But the Mandalorian, the reason why Mandalorian is so successful, it's fan service that serves the story, and I've said it a lot. Like, it's not just thrown in. Filoni knows the world so much. He knows it makes sense to have him at this moment because he knows the timeline fits. He knows where Luke is in his journey.
I will never get the term fan service because it seems to be with the people who have the problem with that, with the certain fan services, is because they're not serving the character you like. I don't like. It made total sense to be Luke. Cal Kestis, we don't even know what happens to him.
Yeah,
I'm assuming they're going to do Jedi Fallen Order 2. So if he appears in the Mandalorian, then you're like, well, then he can't die in the games. Ezra is, I'm pretty nailed on at the moment. He's still lost at this point. And as much as we're massive Star Wars fans, the average person who watches Disney Plus and says, "Oh, I watch the Mandalorian," has no idea who Ezra Bridger is or Cal Kestis. And it fits the timeline perfectly. I never got the whole and I never really got the whole it takes away from Luke in The Last Jedi. It doesn't at all.
it doesn't at all. No, it doesn't.
I think it's amazing.
I think there could have been other Jedi's who found him and you could make it work, but I think that doesn't mean this one doesn't work. I think if you think about it, you know, like the Empire's fallen, like Luke Skywalker's a big part of that. He's the Jedi who's out there.
Yeah.
You know, Grogu sat on the Sailing Stone and reached out using the Force. Do you know what I mean? That's who obviously Luke's picked up on that and come to find him. So yeah, I think for me, like it was great. I think I'm glad they didn't go down the. I know people have said like the CGI doesn't look good, stuff, but like I think whether it looks good or it doesn't, like you know who that is.
Like,
so therefore, it does its job.
You can't win in either way. If you would recast him and it was someone else, they'd be like, "Oh, that's not Luke Skywalker," and it's only like a small cameo. Like if they were going to do a full-on Luke live-action series, then yeah, I think you have to recast him. But it's just him taking his thing off. It was nice that obviously looking into Mark Hamill, it meant a lot to Mark Hamill. Obviously, I'm not saying anything about the sequels, but I don't, like deep down, I don't think he was overall happy with the sequels, but I think this probably meant the world to him. So I got no problem with it. I loved it, and I thought it was. And like I said, I think it makes perfect sense. Like we need a Jedi after Return of the Jedi. Well, who's that? Well, it's Luke Skywalker.
Yeah. It does. It is in keeping with the sequels anyway, because he even says to Rhea, like, "Oh, I was Luke Skywalker." Like his self-awareness of being, his self-awareness of the pressure of living up to being the legend.
Yeah.
And this is like,
legend.
and he says it in my hubris, and this is even though it's a really cool scene, the music's like epic but also tragic. Like this is Luke Skywalker at this point would have thought he was all that. He would have had the hubris of the Jedi and almost the arrogance of it, like.
I don't know if he quite believes the hubris. I think like he says that to her as an excuse. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think like the reason why he wasn't hiding is because like he's depressed because his nephew has like turned to the dark side and just sort of caused a lot of problems, and he feels like he's failed. So and I think he feels that he's failed quite a bit. Rather, you know, he doesn't think Ben's failed; he thinks he's failed. And sort of what's the point anymore? I think sort of really glad we got Luke here. I think it fits, like I said, fits the story perfectly.
Yeah,
I thought the play the Luke Skywalker theme when he comes through the door, which I thought was fantastic. Again, blending sort of the new Mandalorian themes with the themes from the saga, which is fantastic. And although Luke's there and like Luke sort of has his big moment, that doesn't overshadow the next moment, which is the biggest moment, which is when Mando takes off his helmet and is looking into Grogu's eyes and says goodbye.
That's how much this show is great. I'm like crying over a puppet. I know it's a puppet, but it was really obviously heart wrenching. telling me to see him again in that. I do believe we'll see him again in the Mandalorian. I don't think Grogu's going to end up at Luke's temple when Ben Solo kills everyone. So, but yeah, it really was an emotional moment. Like I said, and that's just the beauty of Star Wars, where they can get you to care about this little green puppet. And I admire the choice as well to take him out the story at this point, because let's be honest, he sells an absolute boatload of merchandise, and it'd be just easy for them to say, "Oh no, just keep him in the show." But if there's no reason for him to be in the show at this point, and he goes off with Luke, then yeah, I think it's obviously a decision not based on the bottom line; it's based on the story. Yeah.
Well, the story's always been.
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
To his
Though,
people,
when you're like,
now he's done that. That's happened now.
To keep him around, because he'll just sell anything we put his face on. Yeah. Oh no, yeah.
I just don't think
no.
although people like to slag Disney off, I don't think they'd make decisions based on that. I think they do give storytellers, do you know what I mean? I think Iron Man's dead.
Spoilers.
Tony Stark's gone. Do you know what I mean? He's not coming back anytime soon.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh
but
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's
a case of he's probably the most famous Avenger.
Besides Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man. So yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah, so it's definitely it suits the story. That's the story they've wrote. And again, when you think about that scene in season 1 of Fennec Shand getting found, and how they'd obviously already. Yeah. I imagine however many seasons there is, I imagine it's mapped out. So whatever we're seeing here is going to lead into something later, and it's season 1 is probably in the end of season 2. Grogu goes with Luke.
And as well, the scene
we didn't know at the time, but
Din says goodbye to Grogu. The last. Luke, let me look on you with my own eyes, and that's the same with Grogu. Kind of echoes that in its sentiment.
Oh yeah, definitely.
He takes off his helmet. Make sure when he says goodbye, it's not through the helmet; it's actually him.
Yeah, I think it's fair to see the growth. Obviously, he took it off in the Bill Burr episode. I think he learned a lot about it there, and then here he's like, "Yeah, do you know what it is? I can't take it off because." It's not such a big deal as it's been made out to be to us from the past. What did you think of obviously after he's captured? Once Luke turns it, he knows he's not going to cause a big ruckus here.
That was
Gideon tries to shoot himself.
It was unexpected for a Disney show. You're not really supposed to see.
I was like, wow, that's pretty dark. He tried to kill himself.
Yeah.
Well, I think you got to remember that.
He's very much in all.
What he made his men do on the cruiser.
Yeah.
Yeah, but remember on the cruiser when it was for the Empire, and then the captain kills the 2 drivers, and then he uses his electronic chip in his mouth to kill himself. So that's obviously the drill. So he knows he's captured now by New Republic. He knows he's going there to get tortured and get the information out of him.
Yeah,
so he ends up going, "I'm going to try and shoot myself."
Last card, take myself.
He plays all his cards, none of them work.
Obviously,
last card.
Yeah, I totally agree. It was a shocking moment though when he put the gun to his head. I was like, no way. And then obviously, Carver knocks it out of his hand and knocks him out.
I love the scene as well. Just before that happens, when he's shooting the blaster at Grogu, and Mando doesn't even think twice and dies in front of.
I thought at first he was going to get him. I was like, no way. Mando dives, protects him.
Yeah, no, it's definitely. I think again, it says a lot about Mando and how far he's come. He's give his life there to save Grogu, although he survives. It could have ended a different way.
Yeah.
And then even after all that, he then lets him go with Luke.
Loved it. Yeah.
Loved it. Yeah, great.
Nice. What did you make of R2 turning up?
Some people say fan service. I loved it. It makes total sense. Of course, he'd be with him. Yeah.
Well, R2's obviously in the X-Wing. It's that makes sense. I think it reminds you of for me, what it harkens back to is they've obviously landed, Luke's got out, done his bit, and the last time R2 stayed with the ship, the guy didn't come back. Anakin told
Oh yeah.
I just like the
to
idea.
steal the
Like
ship. Anakin
R2
didn't
is
come back.
basically a Skywalker, and he like.
The River Luke.
Yeah, so
Hmm.
he's obviously
I
like
bet
he's waited a bit, and then he's popped out.
I'd love
And
to
thought,
see him
I'm
going
going to go
past the
see what's
droids
going
and
on,
thinking,
because if I need to
Jesus.
save a day, I can save a day. But luckily, I don't have to.
Yeah.
What did you tell?
Yeah.
No, definitely. But yeah, for me, I thought like R2's got out the ship and followed him because, like I said, that emotion of like,
Yeah.
you know,
I never
Anakin
thought
said
of that,
save
but
the
that's a fair
ship,
point.
and then Anakin didn't come back. In Revenge of the Sith, so I think that's why he's very much a very caring droid, and he tries to get involved as much as he can, because he's like, you know, if I sit on the sidelines, that's what happened that one time. It happened. So yeah, I didn't mind that. Did you get the impression that R2 and Grogu knew each other? They sort of
Rescued
have a
from the
little bit
Jedi
of
Temple. We don't
communication.
know who that is. I always think it's Mace Windu, but that's just me being crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do get the impression that obviously R2's been around the Jedi Temple, and I'm guessing he's seen him before. I don't think they know. I don't think they're like best pals or anything. They were best pals at the temple, but I do get the impression maybe even R2's just like, I remember the crazy old one of you in the swamp.
Being nice.
You're not going to start hitting me with a stick or something.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. I thought it was pretty cool. Good to see R2 interact with them. It was almost like the two cutest things ever, interacting with each other.
And again, it's one of the first characters in the franchise from the 1970s interacting with the newest, like one of the newest characters. It's like the full circle kind of thing. Do you think we'll find out who saved him or not? I think it's just kind of
I think we'll find out eventually, and it will be Mace Windu. No, I'm joking.
Do you think he's coming back at all? Or he's done?
Mace Windu?
Yeah.
No, probably not. I'd like him to, but then me and Peter talked about this before, and if he's still around, if he's managed to like stay hidden this side, I don't think he's a good guy at this point. He's probably not a good guy. But I've always been in the camp that he survives. And Samuel Jackson is more than willing, believe me, to come back to Star Wars. But I'd like to see it, but no, I don't think we'll see Mace Windu again. Obviously, not post Revenge of the Sith. We might see him in other stuff pre Revenge of the Sith, but no. But I do hope we find out eventually. It's not gonna be like a random Jedi we don't know. It will be Terra Sanube.
I think it'll be. I forgot his name now. The old dude with the water
He's
stick.
the old Jedi who helps Ahsoka find her lightsaber. Yes.
But he's also quite frequent in the story they've been telling with Dooku.
He's on the council, wasn't he? Yeah.
He was quite prominent in that, wasn't he? It's like one of the Jedi at the time. And he's prime, so I think they've done a little bit of story work on him recently, which I think maybe.
Post Revenge of the Sith, we do know
I can see maybe getting the child out and
Quinlan
died
Vos
doing it.
is alive. And Oppo Francis is alive as well. So could be one of them.
Yeah.
I do want Quinlan Vos though. I want a Quinlan Vos story somewhere because he's one of the most interesting Jedi there is.
Oppo Francis is a funky looking dude.
It'd be very hard to do him in live action, I would believe. Like properly, like if he had to do anything. Like if he could just sit there on a Jedi Council chair, fine. But yeah, I can imagine it must be like nearly impossible to do in live action. Mind you,
who's the other guy? The old guy with the stick? What's his name?
Terra Sanube. If you Google him, mate, you'll know exactly who he is as soon as you see him. But yeah, he's the one who Ahsoka's rushing around trying to find a lightsaber, and even though he moves slow, he's always in the right place.
Yeah. I know who you mean.
Yeah, he's he's on the council and stuff,
and then in Duke of Jedi Lost,
great, Duke Jedi Lost, I loved it. Duke is one of my favourite characters from the whole thing, like from the prequels. So any more of that, goodness, I'm all for.
Yeah, it was really good. I obviously listened to the audio book when it came out, and then I've got the script, book version of it, because it was awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
So what were your favourite parts of this episode, Luke?
Probably the Gideon and the Din fight. I just look. There's nothing more satisfying than a hero actually going toe to toe with a villain. A lot of times we don't get that, and I like that we did. It made sense that the fight was short, and like you said earlier, Gideon knows he kind of isn't a match for Din, so all he's got is his like anger, and he's just he knows he has to go at Din like fast and strong, otherwise he can't last the fight like, stamina-wise. Do you know what I mean? But just a quick tangent. My favorite moment of this whole series is Boba when he gets his arm back and start taking names.
Yeah.
But that's my favorite part of the episode is Din versus Gideon.
Yeah.
It's great.
The Bo Koska Boba Fett WWE.
What were some of your favourite parts of this
style
episode, Ian?
little scene and Luke Skywalker at the end. And then, yeah, for this episode, yeah, Luke Skywalker at the end. And just seeing, like, someone I've worshipped since... Obviously, I wasn't around for when Return of the Jedi came out, but as soon as I was a kid, seeing this guy come onto screen and be like, that's Luke Skywalker, man, that's crazy. Like, Luke Skywalker, like, post-Return of the Jedi, Luke Skywalker. But, yeah, that was it.
I mean, it's crazy. It is mental that
It
we
is,
saw
yeah.
it. And to see in the credits Mark Hamill, I know they must have modulated his voice, but I know Mark Hamill again is like a really good voice actor as well. So it is such it's such a good little nod to tie it in. Mandalorian is its own thing, but it is part of this universe, and I just love that. But I just need the Mandalorian to please have the confidence to continue on its own story.
I definitely think it will.
I really hope so.
I think, like, obviously, season 3, Pete touched on it. I think we're gonna go back to like what it means to be a Mandalorian, all that type of stuff, and I think eventually, like with all the how many shows there through, obviously Mando, Ahsoka, Book of Boba Fett, and Rangers of the New Republic. I think it's all leading towards the retaking of Mandalore. I think we'll see a Siege of Mandalore in live action.
I hope so, man. That'd be amazing. Because that.
I think some of my favourite parts of this episode were, I love the, like, this.
Yeah.
For me, it was 44 minutes long. We got like almost like a full movie with the story. So we got the setup at the beginning of them capturing Dr. Pershing. And that was fantastic. You know, seeing the lander get taken by Slave One, like just delicious Star Wars. You know, then we see sort of the Mando getting help, goes and gets help from Bo-Katan, and then that sets up the mission. And then before you know it, here we go, we're setting the mission up now where more delicious space battle where we've got Fett chasing the Lambda shuttle, pretending to shoot it down so they can board and get Grogu back. And then, as you know, they end up like getting Grogu back, and now they get killed, but Luke Skywalker turns up. It's like a full movie's worth of like story told in 44 minutes, and like, and it's weird how like there's certain scenes that are like, you know, if you take the scene with at the end when you have Mandalorian sort of saying goodbye to Grogu, and it's like quite slow. It takes time it needs to make it like to make you feel it, but it's like almost like perfectly paced. You know what I mean? Like so much happens, but every little moment gets the right amount of time to hit you where it needs to hit you. Same as when the X-wing lands, it's like you see the footage of the X-wing landing, and it's just enough so you register what that is and what it could possibly mean. The same when you see the hooded figure, it's like it registers enough for you to know that's probably Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
But you're going to question yourself because why would do you know what I mean? And it's like designed to host the whole thing's like told like a movie, but in 44 minutes. I think it's like it's fantastically paced. Like probably best episode of television this year, like produced wise. I think going, but yeah, I think for me Luke Skywalker was fantastic. I think he fits perfectly into the post-Return of the Jedi story. If you've read Shattered Empire, the comic, and if you've played Star Wars Battlefront 2 story campaign, like this Luke fits in perfect with those Lukes, and it's sort of the same time frame of Luke, like within the same couple of years. So I think like did a great job of listening to the story group there and getting Luke down as to how he's been portrayed in the canon.
He's reluctant to cut through stormtroopers, even as the line to Del Meeko, where he's where he's like, "Why did you not, not cut me down, but why did you not attack me?" And he's like, "Because you asked, like." Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I think he says, "Why did you?" Why?
Yeah.
I think Del Rico says, "Why did you help me?" And he goes, "Because you asked." Because he was crying. He was trying to help one.
Yeah.
And then when
mission's
Luke
awesome.
goes, "Can I take the compass?" And he goes, "Why would I give you that?" And Luke goes, "Because I asked." And it's like, it's like teaching that sort of message of kindness and how you can pay it forward, which does a lot to sort of Del Rico and joining sort of the rebellion and stuff. So yeah, I thought this Luke Skywalker fit perfectly into where he would be at this part in the time frame. Again, just loved it. I think it sets us up now to be like, we can really delve into what's going on in the galaxy and what's going on Mandalore. Like, it's not necessarily, as much as I love Grogu, it's now not going to be like taking Grogu left, right, and center. It's going to be right. What's actually going on in the galaxy? What's the Mando going to be teaming up with? What's Bo-Katan going to be doing?
Why they can't go back to Mandalore?
How are we going to get to the point where we can take back Mandalore? So it's insinuated that like the Empire did that much damage to it. Like, why would anybody want to go back to it?
I genuinely believe that. I've seen this theory, but I've said it for quite a while. Like, I genuinely believe that Thrawn is on Mandalore, and he's running the Imperial remnant from Mandalore. Because obviously Mandalore never came under Republic space back in the Clone Wars, and that's obviously I'd probably led to believe the New Republic don't have any jurisdiction in Mandalorian space. So I think Thrawn will be. I think Thrawn's on Mandalore, and I think this is what everything's leading to. Obviously, Ahsoka. You have the reason. The reason she's looking for Thrawn is obvious. She's looking for Ezra. Rangers of the New Republic. I did see Star Wars said this in a video the other day. Like, it could be like the canon version of Rogue Squadron, where they go and fight Thrawn in a neutral system, and that. And obviously, the Book of Boba Fett, I do think will tie into possibly Fett using his newfound criminal empire to help the Mandalorians, like to honor his dad, because his dad obviously fought in the Mandalorian Civil War. So he was a foundling, he was a Mandalorian. And I could just see it all tying towards... Every show has like a hook towards Grand Admiral Thrawn. So I think the seventh... Because obviously, I said earlier in the video, earlier in the podcast, I said there's a fleet out there somewhere, and I think it's the Seventh Fleet, and I think it's on Mandalore, the Seventh Fleet.
Yes, that'd be so good to see.
That's why I think anyway.
Really excited.
But then
do you think Rangers do? Obviously, the New Republic Rangers are like looking at the things in the outer rim.
Don't
is what they've sort of set up. Do you think that's going to tie into that as well?
Remnant threats. So I think they'll eventually say, look, we have to do something about this, even if it means going outside the jurisdiction of the New Republic, and they will go and they will find Thrawn. Like I said, they've all said these shows are leading to a big event, and I think it is. I think it'll be like the canon version of Heir to the Empire. Obviously not as grand because of the Legends version of the Empire, there's galactic stakes, but I do think he's obviously rebuilding his forces. Thrawn, we've seen that with Morgan Elsbeth. So I think the Rangers will tie to it. Obviously, Ahsoka is looking for Thrawn. That's where we get the name drop in the season. That's one of my favourite moments in the season, because if you had ever told me we would hear the name Grand Admiral Thrawn on screen in like live action, animation's one thing, but he's a fascinating villain, and I think and people have said he could be like the Thanos of this like Disney Plus little universe, that type of thing. But yeah, I do think we are headed towards Grand Admiral Thrawn and the Siege of Mandalore. No, that's what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, they wouldn't drop his name for no reason. Do you know what I mean? So they've definitely got, like I said, as I've said, I honestly believe they've got it all mapped out from day one. So
going to make the jump into live action.
The build, whatever is going to be.
I do believe we'll see them in live action in one of these shows.
You think Ezra or not?
Well, sorry, yes, the top four characters I think are coming to live action next, because they've just proven this season you can bring these characters in, and this is what I love about this like stuff now. When they first took over Star Wars, there's no way they'd put Ahsoka in a film. There's no way they'd put these people because they'd be like, well, people don't know these people. It's all well and good us Star Wars nerds obsessing about these people, but it's just proof that there's these characters in animation, in books. I mean, look at Cobb Vanth. If you'd ever told me Cobb Vanth, the throwaway three chapter interludes from the Aftermath series would come in, played by Timothy Oliphant, and it would be amazing, I'd be like, yeah, you're absolutely mad. No, I totally understand that. Yeah.
You have to do so if we just did a Cobb Vanth series off the bat, it wouldn't work. Do you know what I mean? If we just did an Ahsoka series, I think you've got to build these things up like within the story, which is what they've done perfectly with Cobb Vanth, for example, there with Ahsoka in this episode and with the final season of Clone Wars. Like they've told more stories there into a wider network of people because of Disney Plus. So I think like they've sort of put the foundations in place now for those characters where you can bring them in.
Absolutely crazy. There's like 3 people who knew who Cobb Vanth were. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, it's like I think because there's now productions, rather than creating new characters, if you already got characters who fit the bill, you just use them. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's what the story are there for. So I think like in the past we didn't have all these projects, so it couldn't happen. And that's why we couldn't think of it. But now, if you think about it, with all these new projects coming,
like, there's literally no character too obscure that you
the possibilities are endless.
See now.
If that makes sense. Like it's gonna be like imagine this Acolyte series. Like we're probably gonna might not see them in person, right? But we're probably gonna hear stories and might see flashbacks on like
50 years before
that type of thing of like Reverend not being and stuff like that.
Then Darth Plagueis, that is my
favorite
book in all of Star Wars. It is amazing, that book. And just the thought of like we could get Darth Plagueis on screen. Because obviously it's I'm pretty sure they said it's set about 50 years before the Phantom Menace, and just to see Darth Plagueis like on screen would be amazing. And like I said, that book is my favourite book. Like Light of the Jedi is just sneaked in behind it, but that book's amazing, and it explains so much with the prequels. And like you said, to see like flashbacks of that, I believe it's only a matter of time before Revan is brought in a big way, because he just, like I said, obviously, like we've said, it doesn't all come down to merch and that, but he sells an absolute boatload of merch. Like the first Black Series fan choice of a character was Darth Revan, that Black Series figure. So I believe like stuff like that. But Darth Bane as well. The Darth Bane trilogy is one of my favourite things as well. Just give me anything Sith related, really. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we're going to be getting some Sith lore in Acolyte, like some dark side lore, and these guys are the guys who are going to be mentioned. So it might not necessarily be direct content from them people, but they're definitely going to be like around it. They're going to be discussed, I'd imagine. Might be relics from Revan's day or from Bane's day. Might even be their personal relics, maybe that get found.
On
Korriban, his lightsaber, like stuff like that. It could be his armor. We could see his tomb. Yeah, like, you know what I mean? The possibilities are like, as I'm saying, the possibilities are endless, really. And then once you introduce it there, and everyone watches it, then, like, in a few years' time, you might get, all right, we're now going to do the Dark Lords of the Sith series where we see Revan running around. And it's all, like, building blocks that I said they can build it anywhere they want now. Like, the amount of projects they've got to go, they've got projects set in the future, they've got projects set in the past, and they've got projects set in the saga we know. So, like, really all avenues are covered and you can go in any direction. It's, like, crazy. Like, the possibility, like I said, the possibilities are endless. Like, we can't even get our brains around what could happen because it's, like, we won't know what hits us right in the face in a good way. Where we're going to be like, oh, my God, what? We're getting this now. You won't have time to think about it before it actually hits you. It's almost like I said, when that X-Wing lands, before then, you probably don't know when you're thinking about Luke. But as soon as you see the X-Wing, that's when the possibility gets put in your head. And so within a few minutes, it's right there in front of you. It's like, whoa.
You mentioned about the core world's not believing the Rim and threat. It's also in the book Bloodlines. Like, Leia is not taken seriously when she talks about the First Order emerging. She gets, like, dismissed. And Bloodlines is quite good because like Leia has to go on her own little mission
Yeah.
to kind of find the truth in that.
Yeah.
So
Bloodlines is a book by
Yeah.
Claudia Gray,
About
which is
6
set
years
in
before
between
the Force
the
Awakens.
original trilogy and the
yeah,
sequel
and Ben's
trilogy,
still with
which I
Luke. I
recommend
think.
reading.
Yes, it's when you obviously I
for
watched
anyone out
12
there
Months,
who's-
but there's obviously a big revelation at the end for the
Yeah.
galaxy about Princess Leia.
Yeah.
But I think like I honestly think that these shows can go anywhere. And if you look at what we got at the end of the show, it said on Tatooine, Jabba's palace, Fennec kills several guards, and Fett kills Bib Fortuna, who sat on the throne.
Loved it. I thought.
So what did you make of
this
this little after the tease for the Book of Boba Fett?
And then see Bib Fortuna. Obviously, he's living the Jabba lifestyle. to obviously go to extreme, but yeah, just to see Boba Fett back, obviously with Fennec Shand, and like I think he's finally done being the boss. I think he wants to be the boss now, and yeah,
One of the things I loved was obviously Bib Fortuna has a staff. So the Bib Fortuna Kenner action
it's
figure
obviously
came with
the
a staff.
action figure, yeah.
It's a staff that he never
That's
has in the
detail.
movies. So like, it's what this, what they've got done. But oh, he had this stuff as an action figure, but never had it in real life. Oh well, let's give him one now.
They've also said
so again, like how that's influencing like what's going on.
I like.
What was really cool attention to detail.
Series, give me Bosk, give me Dengar, give me all those bounty hunters, and give me Cad Bane. Yeah, obviously, as long as it fits the story, obviously, but yeah, it should do really.
But I mean, as long as it
Obviously,
fits, as long as it fits the story, yeah, like yeah.
But I really do want Cad Bane. Obviously, Cad Bane. We've always heard about that cancelled arc in the Clone Wars with Boba and Cad Bane. I don't know if that's canon. They tend to treat those things as canon, but we don't know the fate of him. And if we got Cad Bane in the Book of Boba Fett, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, so like those scenes have the first got shown at Celebration Europe. That was held in London in 2016 or 15, one of the two. And essentially, it's an unfinished animatronic arc.
That's
so it's like the final
detail
details been put in, but there's a showdown between Fett and Cad Bane, and they both end up shooting each other. Cad Bane's blast hits Boba's helmet, and Boba's blast hits Cad Bane's hat. So like, people are, it means he's dead. Well, it doesn't. You know, I mean, like, it's hit him in the hat. Like, is the hat? Does his head go all the way to the top of the hat? Like,
yeah,
who knows? So like, I think like, for me, I think like, if he fits the story, he'll be in it because he hasn't passed away. But if he doesn't fit the story, they might keep him in purgatory. But yeah, I mean, the Book of Boba Fett, it sounds like it's going to be him going against people who wronged him. So, like, I get, obviously, you know, in this scene, Bib Fortuna's like, oh, like, the stories are true. We thought you were dead type of thing. He's obviously Fett's pissed off because it didn't come up
It's gonna.
So, like, who else has
the
wronged
actor
him?
Tim Morrison deserves. You can see in the gallery how passionate he is.
Yeah.
And he just deserves every bit of success. And I've said it before, and I will keep on saying it. I love the change in his armor, because if they do flashbacks and it's the old style, you know it's flashback. If it's all cleaned up and freshly painted,
that makes sense. Yeah, I never thought of that. Yeah.
You know it's present day. It's like someone mentioned it. It wasn't me. I'm not going to take credit.
Yeah.
It was on a podcast. They mentioned the fact it's like a visual cue of like in your head, you know when it's going to be set depending on when armor. So if it starts and it's all tattered, you know it's set before he takes the throne of Jabba, Bib, or Bib. Bib's throne. Throne of Bib. Bib, a Star Wars story. There you go.
Yeah.
I can't wait. It's going to be amazing. If the Boba Fett show is anything like the action and the tragedy, then I am all in.
Yeah.
All in.
So, I mean, they said that executive producing
Really?
Boba
Yeah,
Fett
it's,
series is
John Favreau, Dave Filoni, Robert Rodriguez.
I forgot his name. Is Robert Rodriguez?
Yeah.
Robert Rodriguez.
In.
Well, this Christmas, yeah, it comes out. And then
So
And the type.
it's definitely going to be
sounds like
exciting
fun.
time.
I
So we'll
was
get
just
that
thinking
next
this about
Christmas. Well, this
2022. Does
Christmas.
that mean we have like
This
5
Christmas,
Star
yeah.
Wars
So
films next year?
exciting times
Possibly.
ahead.
Because you've got. Yeah. 'Cause I think Andor was supposed to come out 2022.
Possibly, but
Obi-Wan
I think we'll
was supposed
spread
to
them
come
out a bit more than
2022. I know
that.
it's
But
been pushed back filming
we'll have
again.
to wait and see what production schedule are like.
Mando season 3, I guess, comes out in 2022. Yeah. Yeah, because like
So I think we'll get them
me and you
three
talked
definitely
about this quite a
2022.
lot. Like
And I think you
they
might
can't
get one
keep
more.
having these
They'll
big
release one a
massive gaps.
quarter.
At the moment, they've knocked it out because they've got one division, and then as soon as one division ends, they've got Falcon and Winter Soldier, and then as soon as that ends, they've got Loki. So they are starting to get, obviously COVID delayed everything.
Mm.
But yeah, they are starting to get into that rhythm where they've got something every. As soon as something ends, they've got something else. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think they'll have a big title every quarter. So I think if that's four Star Wars projects a year for the next 5 years, maybe, because obviously you'll have multiple seasons. So I think you'll definitely have Obi-Wan, Andor, and
But then
Mando season 3 next year. So that's 3 Star Wars projects, maybe.
Rangers and that.
Like definitely, maybe one more for Ahsoka gets done, but obviously it's not really in production just yet. Then I think obviously again, like by the time they get in production, I don't know if they'll be ready for next year. And for me, there's no point in rushing it. If you've got 3 Star Wars projects next year,
I think we'll
and
have
then you've got like 3 Marvel ones, that's you covered for your subscription base for the year.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, but let's just say at least 3. Or like you're running like, do you know what I mean? One. When one ends and another one starts, type of thing. That's
I do wonder
keep
though
subscribers
if
there for the whole
these
year.
shows that are leading to this finale of like the
Which is what
Mandalorian
the
thing.
whole
I
point of
wonder if they
having
have
those
to come out in
content
a
is
certain
for.
order. I wonder about that. Like whether
Possibly.
Ahsoka's set before something and Rangers are set after something and all that type of thing. Yeah.
I think it might not necessarily be a certain order, but like each one will give you story tidbits, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
And then you'll have to watch them all before you watch the ending. Do you know what I mean? If you look at what they did with like the Defenders, like they didn't really tie into each other, but then they all tie into that one at the end. Like, do you know what I mean? So it's like you can watch them in different order.
I think he said Dave Filoni's writing it.
But yeah, 'cause I mean, the Ahsoka thing, I know I don't even know how far is it even written. Like,
but
writing it now,
obviously
so it's probably not going to
I
shoot
remember
till
reading an interview with Dave
the
Filoni
end
and
of
they were
this
on
year,
about
at the very
ending of Rebels with the
earliest.
with the Sabine thing, and they were like, "Oh, so obviously that's after." Is that after? That's after her appearance in Mando. He's like, "Oh, well, you don't know that. It could be before." That whole episode in Mando could be before she goes to Lothal to find Sabine, which I'm starting to believe it is. Yeah.
So I think so. For those who don't know, Dave Filoni loves Tolkien. So the Ahsoka we see at the end of Clone Wars in the Grey Cloak, and the Ahsoka we see in the Ahsoka episode of Mandalorian, is she's wearing the Grey Cloak. Ahsoka the Grey. The Ahsoka we see at the end of Rebels is got the white and the white staff. Ahsoka the white. As any Lord of the Rings fan will tell you, Gandalf is Gandalf the Grey first, and then becomes Gandalf the White. So if he's using, it could be coincidence, but if it's not coincidence, you could say that Ahsoka has this Grey Pilgrim first,
of this
and then it's going to become this White Pilgrim afterwards.
Epilogue. Definitely.
Yeah. Because maybe because I imagine she's going to find the information.
Yeah, because obviously Morgan Elsbeth tells us.
And then go back to Sabine and go, look, got this information now. Let's go. Yeah, and And I imagine like she might go somewhere else and get some more information, and somewhere else and get some more information. Maybe she's been some places before Morgan Elsbeth to get other information. Like imagine she had to go somewhere to get the Morgan Elsbeth information to find out where to get her. Do you know what I mean? So it'd be a chain of stuff, and then obviously once pieces enough of it together, then goes to Sabine.
And that's
say,
where
look,
we'll see her.
I've finally got enough info. It's time. Like I need the big hitters with us. Yeah, let's go get him. Indeed, mate. I said the possibilities are like endless, big time. So like, the next 2-3 years are going to be like jam packed with content, and like not just any content, but like I said, the content we're discussing here, it's going to be like it's going to be looking for Ezra. It's going to be Grand Admiral Thrawn. It's going to be the taking back of Mandalore. And that's before we even get into things like Acolyte that are going to be like dark side, old school Sith relics and powers and lore. But I think, like for me, like I loved this second season of Mandalorian. I thought it was like brilliantly paced, and then it set up this ending, which was just like I think, as Luke said before, it was just like top notch Star Wars. What's your thoughts, Ian, on Mandalorian season 3 or Book of Boba Fett? Which series are you looking forward to the most?
Book of Boba Fett. I never thought. Like, I've always been a Boba Fett fan. I've always loved it, and then I've loved the reaction everyone's had to him. Obviously, there's been a huge swath of people that always thought he was overrated, and to be honest, he was because he didn't do a lot. But then, like, I've obviously read all the Legends comics. I've read the canon comics and that, and like, I'm looking forward to the Boba Fett. Plus, I love Fennec Shand, but I'm looking forward to all of them. But yeah, if I had to pick one, it'd be Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, I think for me, like just whatever's next, I'm sort of excited about, which is a good thing. So it's like Book of Boba Fett is the next series. So I'm like, yep, like excited for that, focus on that. And then obviously when Mando season 3 comes around shortly after, it'll be a case of I'll be excited about that. Obviously at the minute I'm excited about High Republic, sort of trying to read that. So it's sort of good to have so much cool stuff coming. It means you can just take it as it comes, I think. And it also means if you don't like something, just got to wait like a month.
And you got something else.
And something else is coming around, which is like set in a different place with different creatives working on it. So your chances are, if you don't like one thing, you like something else. So we're all sort of very spoiled, which is fantastic. As me and you like to say, it is like the golden age of Star Wars right now.
It most definitely is, mate.
But I think that brings us an end to our review of Chapter 16, The Rescue. Have you got any closing thoughts about Chapter 16 or about the season as a whole?
It was absolutely amazing. I never thought we'd get anything like this on telly for Star Wars. And I can't wait for Mando Season 3. I can't wait for everything. Ahsoka, Book of Boba Fett, Rangers of the New Republic, everything. Just sum it up in one word. Fantastic.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing for me is that, like, because we don't know how the shows are going to connect, obviously we've been told that sort of Book of Boba Fett, Mando, Ahsoka, and Rangers of the New Republic are going to connect in some way and lead to an event, whether it's like a one-off movie or whether it's a one-off episode or it's a one-off season. We don't quite know the details yet, so it's like we almost don't know we know what's coming, but we don't know how it's going to be presented, which is obviously exciting. You know, you never want to know everything, otherwise why would we be excited about it if we didn't know everything? But yeah, sort of just this whole Disney Plus adventure is just really exciting, and like I said, we're not only getting awesome content, but the future is like so vast, but can also go in any direction, which is just brilliant. Before we wrap it up, Ian, have you pre-ordered any awesome Star Wars merchandise lately, or been buying anything?
I got the Cad Bane Black Series figure the other day and the Armourer, which are great figures. I pre-ordered something the other day. Oh, I pre-ordered the Jedi Fallen Order Gaming Greats Black Series Cal Kestis.
Is that the I can't remember what they're called, but it's what they're called.
Gaming Greats.
Is that the deluxe version?
Yeah, the deluxe version, yeah.
So they've got the Gaming Greats, which are standard Black Series figures, and then in the Black Series figures now, the deluxe versions that come with like more accessories.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
So the Jar Jar Binks is one that's just been released, and so is Boba Fett. I believe, which comes like more stuff.
To be fair.
And so you've ordered this Cal Kestis Gaming Gates one?
Yes, I have. Yeah, one from the old Star Action.
Is that because I think I saw this got released, like the pictures. So let me know if I'm right. It's Cal Kestis, and he comes with both the double bladed saber and the single saber, the damaged one from his master. Comes with the droid.
Yeah, and he comes with the little creature you find on Bogano.
Is that the boggling?
Yeah. And you've got like a few options for his poncho and that type of thing.
And does it come with a holocron as well?
I think so, mate. Yeah, I don't have it in front of me right this second, but yeah, I think it does. Yeah, it comes with quite a bit of stuff, but I thought it was just a cool figure. I'm a bit more selective.
Definitely.
I used to back before I had a house and all that. I used to get every Black Series figure known to man.
I'm the same. Like I used to get every one, but over the past year and a half, like again with a house and stuff, I'm sort of very selective with what I get. But that is one that I haven't pre-ordered yet. But I think I might go and pre-order that.
Yeah, I've got a few. I've got the Bo-Katan one pre-ordered, the Boba Fett one pre-ordered, and obviously Cal Kestis. Plus the Mandalorian Black Series helmet that comes out in April. I'm just putting money away from that now.
Nice. So is that the Mandalorian?
Yeah, the
one?
Black Series helmet. Yeah.
Awesome. And are you going to go for the Boba Fett one or not?
I've pre-ordered the new paint job one, but that don't come out to November, so I've got a while to save up money for that, which I'm happy with. Sometimes it's good that they don't come out for like 6 months.
Definitely, mate. It helps the wallet, doesn't it?
Because otherwise it wouldn't be afford them all at once.
You're going to have to get a cool case to display all these buckets.
I know, yeah, I will do, yeah. I've got the Kylo Ren one. Obviously, I'll have Mando one, and I'll have the Boba Fett one, hopefully. You never know what happens with COVID at the moment. You never know if you have to cancel these orders for some reason. Yeah,
definitely. If not COVID, then I know Brexit's getting in the way of some stuff coming in the country as well, from what I gathered from some of these toy companies. So, but hopefully the teething problems will, as we chug along, will get sorted out and we'll get the awesome merchandise soon.
Hopefully, mate.
Where can the people find you on social media?
I am on Twitter and Instagram, all lowercase, at Star Wars Ian. That's where you can find me.
Awesome. And you can find Luke, if you just search for the Hoth Off the Press podcast, you'll be able to find his podcast. It's on YouTube. It also goes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and he's also does game streaming on Twitch. So check out Luke at Hoth Off the Press podcast. Just Google that and all the links will come up there. Ian, again, thank you very much for coming on. Luke, thank you very much for coming on. May the force be with you guys, listeners. May the force be with you guys as well. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Please follow us on Twitter at BorsStar. That's at BORESSTAR. And on Instagram and Facebook at Star Wars Podcast. You can also reach us on email at starwarspodcast@gmail.com. The Star Wars Show can be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, and wherever podcasts can be found. Please give us a like, subscribe, and don't forget to leave a 5-star review. May the force be with you.